Yo,
What up? What up?
let's go. What's going on, man? I'm gonna pull up something here that I'm gonna need. I forgot to pop it up so I can play it for you.
Oh shit!
Nah, I'm gonna grab it right now.
Is it for now or for?
Nah, it's for my carbon footprint.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. I think I got it already.
Do it, man. Welcome back, everybody,
Yeah.
to the Carbon Footprint Podcast. He is Juan and I'm Sean, and every week we get together, have a few drinks, talk about things going on in the world, try to focus on things making an impact, whether they be good, bad, or otherwise. Hit him with the drink of the day.
Listen, man, we took it to a old school one that we liked. It is our take on almost gin. It's a gin and ginger.
Yeah, that's probably what we called it.
It's probably what we called it. We couldn't remember what we called it, but it is one that's in the rotation. So it's essentially the same as a gin and tonic, except replace the tonic with ginger beer. So a shot of gin. This week we did the Empress gin. It's one of our favorites. So Empress 1908 Indigo gin is awesome. Grab a bottle of that. It tastes so good. And it looks pretty. So it makes your drinks, even if it's a simple drink, it makes it look awesome so you can show off in front of your guests.
That's right. Serve it in a clear glass.
Yep, exactly.
Not like what we did.
Not what we did. Yeah. we had to show off the carbon footprint leather wraps on the glass.
Absolutely. Check it out. If y'all on the YouTube, check out the cups. That's it.
Let's go. And so it's a shot of the gin. It's a half a shot of Saint Germain, which we always love to throw in with our gin, and then top it off with ginger beer and garnish with rosemary. And as always, the rosemary here is brought to you by the Garden of Sean.
No, and this is one of them drinks that I always have on a rotation at the house. If you know me and have been to my house and have some of my drinks, I definitely at least offered this to you at the house. I always keep this shit on top.
Yeah. Dude, I like it, man. I'm glad you went with gin this week. I feel like we've been on a bourbon and tequila for the last like couple months where we've been doing a lot of those. Where I'm like, I like I was thinking the same thing this week. I'm like, man, we haven't had a gin in a minute.
Yeah.
So it's cool, man. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I do like me some gin.
Yeah.
But I've been on a tequila kick personally too. So like I haven't minded at all. Yeah, me too, man. So I haven't obviously doing the tequila drinks because I've been like dabbling in it a lot too. So, but
and that tequila old fashioned that we did last week was
so
man,
good,
that was so good. I tried to come up with I saw a drink on Instagram actually that I brought the ingredients for and tried, and I could not get it right. So I went with the Old Faithful here. This one always hits. So check it out if you have not tried it. This drink is really good.
It's awesome, man. Never disappoints, bro.
All right, man. What you got for your carbon footprint?
Yo, man, my carbon footprint, and we didn't talk about this off before. I've never played this video without getting choked up since I've seen the story.
Oh,
so I know, bro. I'm gonna try to get through it. But
does it involve kids?
It does. You know me, man. So I'm gonna play the video on air, man. But my carbon footprint is going out to a guy named I'm gonna say it's Brennan. It's Brennan Ray.
Okay.
Brennan Ray lives it's in Texas. I can't think of the name of the city right now, but yeah, Brennan Ray lives in Texas. He has a Ring camera. A young boy, sometime in the last few weeks, like approached his Ring camera, and the kid is essentially asking him if he knows of any kids in the neighborhood, and is pleading with him to point him in the way because he needs friends, and he goes, "I need friends bad."
Oh wow!
And then and you know, Brennan Ray entertains the kid. He's not home, so he's talking to him through the camera. You know, tells the kid, you know, if I see you, you're like, I don't have a kid, you know. But basically, it does point him in the direction of the kid. The kid says, like, hey, we're not friends anymore. Those kids have been bullying me. But just the whole story, man. Like, first off, like having kids, it breaks your heart to see like this kid, like going up to the camera and the way he's talking, you're just like, fuck, man, if that was my kid. But then also, when he's talking about the story, Brendan Ray talks about like he actually came to the house 30 minutes earlier, and you can see him on the camera like almost like he wants to ring the doorbell and he punks out and he walks away, and he goes like and you can see the kid like almost trying to psych himself up into just ringing the doorbell. And he doesn't, and so he does, and so what happens?
So does he ring the doorbell? Think like looking for kids? Is that what he's doing?
And he goes like, and he basically asks him like, hey, do you have any kids who are my age? And I'm gonna play the video, man. I have the whole interaction. It's not very long. But it's such a cool, just pure interaction. This kid, man, like well-mannered, just really kind, super respectful, and you can tell clearly heartbroken. Like you can just see the kid's look on his face, the way he talks. And Brendan Ray, like I guess he talked about it with his wife afterwards, and it's like, man, I really want to do something for this kid.
Okay.
And they end up setting up a GoFundMe, and his idea behind the GoFundMe was like, hey, maybe we can buy him a really cool gaming setup, like a gaming PC, maybe get him some theme park tickets, some school starting soon, maybe some back to school clothes. So he had like it's a couple $1,000 he wanted to raise, like give to this kid.
Okay.
And he ends up raising like $37,000.
Damn.
Yeah, man. Because people on the internet, dude, it's the power of the
can do a
video
lot.
and the power of the internet, man. You can do a lot. But people saw the video, man, and were just compelled to give. And since then, the GoFundMe has been closed, so you can no longer, they're like, yeah, this is way beyond
enough.
what we wanted to do. It's enough. But and they're like, so we're gonna be able to do awesome stuff for this family, and they're gonna give the family the money. But all this from a kid asking to be friends, and now they've since become friends, and it's cool, man. I want to play the interaction, man, because it's just such a pure, like I said, just really cool interaction. So I'll play some of it here.
What's up, man?
Hi. I just wanted to see if you knew any kids around like 11 or 12, maybe, because I need some friends, like really bad.
So the house to your right, there's 2 kids that live there. Yeah, that direction.
That one or that one?
The first one that you pointed to.
This one? Okay. Well, they're not my friends anymore because, they're bullies to me.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, man.
They keep bullying me. Yeah, I'm just wondering though.
Nah, man, I've only got a...
I mean, well, do you have any kids?
Yeah, she's 2 years old though, man. I got a...
Oh, okay, that's great. Cause I love 2-year-olds. To be honest, they're just like the most cutest.
He's such a sweet kid, man. He's like,
I have ever known.
Cool, man.
Cause like I have a 2-year-old. I used to have a 2-year-old sister. She was a handful, but I really enjoyed spending time with her.
Yeah, man, we just got a little baby, so...
So yeah, man, so they're coming up on the end here, man. That's about it.
Alrighty, well, what's your name, bro?
Shaden Walker.
Cool, man. If I see you around, I'll tell you hi.
Okay.
Alright, man.
You have a good day.
So just cool, man. Shaden Walker. Also, your parents probably don't let you listen to this, but or you haven't found us. Yeah, you will. But you're my hero, man. And then Brendan Roy, man. I think just him for like taking time out, going like, yo, it sat with me. Like he wasn't home. He's like the interaction bothered him, and he was like, I want to do something. I just didn't know what. And then so they've since like become friends. Like the kid has come over and met the 2-year-old daughter that he had. And then like he's done some interviews and he's just like, I just couldn't, like, it just broke my heart, man. Like I was telling my wife, like he was like, I got there and I told my wife, like we got to do something for this kid. I just don't know what, like, but like the interaction, man. And kudos to this kid for like having the balls, man, to like really reach out, because you can see it on his face. Like we talk about this a lot about us, not like like as men, not like, I guess, having the conversations or speaking up or whatever, it's just bothering you. And I think like you see him visibly uncomfortable. Like he doesn't want to do it, but he's almost like desperate.
Like I have to.
Like it, dude. And I think watching the interaction, the reason, and that's the first time I've been able to get through that shit without it like messing me up, man, because it was like, when I was initially watching it, is like when you see the kid, he's like an adult who's like had enough, like, and he's like at his wit's end, man. And it's like heartbreaking to see someone that young look like that. Like like we've all had those moments where you're just like, I can't take this shit anymore. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and you just, he had this like desperation to him. And not in like like a bad way. Like I just don't have a better word, but it was almost this like, like you can hear him when he goes like, I need friends like really bad. Like, and just, man, I commend him for like just like going through with that and reaching out, because you just never know what happens. And then Brendan Ray, man, like just, wow, man, like to actually not knowing what to do. It's not even about the money, about the GoFundMe, but I think taking the time, because I think the kid, you can see the interaction when the kid gets to meet him and meets his family, and even the baby, and the kid's playing with the baby, and they're saying that now they're like friends, like, you know, he comes over and he spends time with the family and stuff. But just like, you just never know, man, what someone's going through, and who knows what that kid was going through with the kids in his neighborhood or in school or, you know, whatever it is. And like, just that, man, I thought it was cool. And I go, you change potentially, like, it's impactful in this kid's life, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you just never know. You know, like, you talk a lot on here about like the time you spent in Pennsylvania with that family, and they've sort of become like extended family for you, right?
Absolutely, bro.
And I'm like, man, is that this for this kid? Like, obviously different circumstances, how they met, different things, but, you know, like, does this kid end up making like lifelong friends, you know, from this, and you know, does his life take a different path now because these guys were kind enough?
And what a story to be able to, like, to tell that to whomever later on, to go like, oh yeah, like, these, you know, this family that I'm really attached to and really good friends with, here's how we met.
Yeah,
like, to tell that story. Now, I listened to the video and I didn't see it. Is he talking to him through the ring?
Yeah, man, I gotta show you, because
so why?
when you see his, because
is he
he's
going,
not
this
home.
is fuck. Oh, he's not home.
He's not home.
I was thinking
So he
about.
answers.
I'm going in my head. I'm going like, here's the fucking. I'm going like, yeah, I'm not answering the door for that kid.
Yo, and I think what he said was,
what he's selling.
I think what, and probably I wouldn't either, because I would have had the exact same thought you did. I think what he
wants to be friends with my 2-year-old.
Like,
I don't fucking think
it's
so.
It's kind of weird. It's funny, when I heard it, I said the same thing. I'm like, and then he goes, I used to, like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, what do
to
you
her?
mean? Oh, now she's 4. Oh,
I had the
okay,
exact same thought. Yeah, like he never corrects that. Like, he's like, 4. It's like, what do you mean you used to, bro? Is that why you don't have friends? But like, I think if I put myself in his shoes, I think because so he has like a subsequent post on TikTok. So he shared the video on TikTok going like, hey, let's be friends with like guys, let's raise him up, whatever. He does this whole post behind him, but then he follows it up with a post going like, hey, you know, like, he came to the door 30 minutes earlier, but he never rang it. But the ring camera obviously set off, or whatever it is. I'm assuming it's a ring, but like, so the camera sets off, and you can see the kid like walk up, and he punks out, and he sticks his hand, and he's like almost talking to himself, and he's like trying to psych himself up, and he punks out and walks away. And so I think he saw that initially, and then was probably just curious, going like, all right, I got to see what this kid's like working his way up to. So I think that's why he answered, because I'm like you, I would have been like, I don't want Girl Scout cookies. Yeah.
Oh, you're not a girl, or are you?
Or are you? Yeah. I don't know anymore. I can't make that assumption. I can't make that assumption. We can all be Girl Scouts. But
no, man, I think and the other piece of this, man, is like the whole friends thing, right? Like, especially living in the time that we are now, and again, I think about my kids. My kids, and I think we've, you know, my wife and I have done the best job that we knew how, right, to raise these kids. But I will say that to a certain extent, my kids are kind of sheltered. And I see other kids, and we don't live. We live in a neighborhood that's sort of very spread out, and there's not a lot of kids. But I've been seeing more and more lately, and I'll see a group of kids riding bike, and I've asked my son like, "Yo, do you know one of them?" And he goes, "Oh, do you know any of them?" And it's like, "Yeah, like I know that one kid there. He's in my class or whatever." And I'm always like, "Yo, do you want to like hook up with them and go ride?" And it's never like a thing that he wants to do, or at least he doesn't take the step to do it. But I've also seen that the hang for my kids is their video game time, because they're on the video games with their friends and their cousins, and they're on a Discord, and they got their mics on, and they're on camera. You know, all of that shit, and it's like,
it's a social interaction.
It is a very social interaction, and it's like, sometimes I used to sort of look down on that, but then I kind of had to reel myself in and go, that is the hang. Whereas we didn't have that, or I didn't have that.
It was just a different hang.
It's a different hang. Yeah. So in order to have that hang, the interaction is either like, for me, either you get on the phone with one person, or you had to get out of the house. You had to go and you had to go and meet with your friends. And I go, my kids can do that from the comfort of their home.
Yeah, dude, and I mean, and you've spent time around my son, like,
Yep.
you know, since he was a baby. But like, I would say, video games helped my son become more social because of video games. Like you say, like remember the running joke was like the looks he would give you, or like he would like, like he didn't like to talk like to people at all.
Yeah.
And one of the things like we really noticed was when he would play video games and he would play online, he had the headset on, is like, you know, initially it was like, it's the freak out of, oh, fuck, he's going to hear everything. Because again, you're playing with people like me on there and I'm relentless and I say wild shit. But it was getting him comfortable talking to people and then meeting other people, you know, because it'd be like his classmate, but then it'd be like his classmate's brother and his cousin and whatever. And then people get on. But then that morphed into, I want to play sports. I want to be on a team. I want to like, I fully think that if it wasn't for that interaction with video games, I think my son would have sort of still been a little bit sheltered, like you were saying before, where I feel like that helped him sort of get more comfortable in social situations. So for me, like the video games, like you said, it's been different. And man, I remember I was like sort of on the tail end of that, but I played a lot of video games online with people like, you know, late high school, probably mostly early college. But I remember making friends on there that you'd never met in real life, but you almost felt that way. You'd be like, oh, let's see if so-and-so, you know what? And you only knew them by their handle.
Right.
You know, it'd be like an Instagram handle. Like, I wonder if you know, poo-poo pie is still on whatever. And dude, for years, and I remember sometimes you wouldn't see someone for like ever, and then you'd wonder like, fuck, whatever happened to so-and-so. And I've heard so many stories of people like linking up like years later, or somebody being the best man at somebody's wedding because they met online and they lived across the world from each other or whatever. Like, dude, I think it just cultivates that. So you know, the other part of this that I loved was that like the video game thing was a cool idea because of that. Like he goes like, I just thought we'd buy him a console, some clothes, like whatever. But I go, yo, that console, that PC, whatever you end up buying him, you just don't know what that sort of turns into.
Yeah,
man.
no,
Like,
definitely so, man. And I think to kind of close this off, man, it's like you need interaction with other humans.
Absolutely.
You know, especially as kids, man. Like you need friends and you need interaction with other humans. And when you don't have that, like you're definitely missing out.
You are, dude. I think we were talking about it on here, where like interactions with humans is almost as bad as like your diet is not being.
Oh yeah,
or worse.
They actually linked it to like longevity of life.
Yes,
it's like the what am I looking for? But it's like your relationships.
Yes,
like the success, I guess, of your relationships are directly correlated to like
your
how
life
long you
expectancy.
live.
Yeah. And relationships as it came to friends and families and your circle and all that, like it was like the better your relationships are with that, the longer you live. And it was like indisputable. Like it was like that was just as bad as like, you know, things with heart disease that you ate, things with like causing cancer, things whatever. It was like that was equally as detrimental as the lack of relationships as any of those other things, like, and in some cases worse, which is wild, man. So yeah, I think, you know, I'm really curious to see what ends up playing out here, man. I hope, again, I think you've changed this kid's life. I think this is super impactful. So,
awesome. What's the guy's name?
Brennan Roy, man.
Brennan Roy.
Let me make sure I get it right. Yep.
Shout
Brennan
out
Ray. Ray. Sorry,
Brennan
I said Roy. Brennan Ray. So shout out to you, Brennan, for taking the time out and helping him, man. That was awesome.
Absolutely. All right, man. Mine is going out to the FDA.
What?
Normally, I would not give these guys anything.
That shocked me, man. Like normally we bitching about those,
right? But they have approved 2 drugs recently. One of them is to treat Alzheimer's disease.
Okay.
And I have people that I've lost in my family due to Alzheimer's, and so I know how impactful Alzheimer's can be, you know, to a human. And so they've approved this drug. It's called Leqembi, Leqembi. I could be mispronouncing that, but
okay.
And essentially, the drug works by reducing the amyloid plaques that form in the brain, which is a defining feature of the disease.
Oh wow! So they've found that specifically is contributing.
Absolutely.
To the Alzheimer's. Oh wow! Okay.
Yep. And so, but Alzheimer's, you know, it's irreversible. And it's a progressive brain disorder affecting more than like 6.5 million Americans. So, and if anybody's ever been or known a family member, you know how that affects not only them, but it affects the people around them. And this thing has been seen to like, I think it slows it down by like 20%.
Oh my gosh.
So it's
So
significant.
does it reverse or just slow down?
I think it just slows it down.
The
So there's
progression
not
of
a
the disease?
correct.
Okay.
And then the FDA, and I'm gonna get this wrong, so you guys look this up. But from what I remember, from what I read about this, there's almost like this fast track that the FDA is able to take now to approve drugs for conditions that don't have like I guess like a good path to cure.
Got it. Like you can't make it worse, or
It's almost like you
it's like
can.
there's nothing available, so it's not like if there's some
Yes.
other things where it's like, hey, we already have a treatment for that, so it might be a little bit harder because it's like even though
Right.
this is better, we can already treat it. Versus Alzheimer's doesn't have a whole lot
doesn't
of
have
paths.
shit going for it, and so the FDA, they have
okay.
this thing, and again, I'm probably gonna get some of this wrong, but it's like they almost have like this fast track to be able to approve drugs for especially conditions like this that don't have anything.
I like that, man. Like the
But dude, what are you gonna lose?
That's what I'm saying. Because I've always felt that way. Like especially with these experimental drugs, like people get like terminal cancers
Yep.
and they're like they don't get approved or whatever to
Yeah.
try this
Give
experiment.
me
Like
anything,
give me
bro.
everything, bro.
Yeah.
Like I don't have
Like, I'm gonna die.
Right, I'm gonna die either way. Potentially, like I'll take the experimental shit. Like why not? Like
Yep.
yeah. So I'm glad that they have this. Is this a new thing that they've sort of gone under?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
Because it's notoriously, and I know COVID sort of proved that, like, oh yeah, we can bypass that whenever we want to, kind of thing. Like, but they're notoriously
definitely
slow. Like, which is funny, man, because like we've had obviously like issues with medications, especially with some of the companies that produce the COVID vaccines. But like, you've had like these historical issues with some of the things that they've put out in the past. But the COVID vaccine sort of came about really, really quickly, and so we were always going like, man, I thought the
like,
FDA
huh?
was a lot of red tape, and it took 10 years, and this and that, and it was like,
What the fuck was it?
confusing.
Operation what?
Fuck, man.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
Trump. Trump did it. Operation fucking something for the COVID vaccine. Somebody out there is going to be yelling whatever the hell it is. Operation
Healthy Oompas. I don't know. What
But no, man. So like Alzheimer's, it slowly destroys your memory, your thinking skills, and then you eventually can't even carry out like simple tasks.
so heartbreaking.
So for those of you who've never had anybody in your family or friends that have experienced this, like kudos to you. Like I'm glad you didn't experience that, but I have, and it's not fun. Luckily for me, it's never been anybody that I've had a lot of direct contact with, but I've had enough contact with to go, oh
see the
shit, and I
progression.
see it. I see the progression, and it's like, oh damn, like that sucks.
See, I haven't, but I've been around people who've had like really close people to them,
Yeah.
and then like the stories, like I've had multiple people that I've worked with, like whether it's a parent or
Yep.
like a sibling or uncle or whatever, and the stories that they would tell me were just heartbreaking. Like
Yeah.
it was just,
Yeah, like I know like sons and daughters of people that have had it, and the stories that they've told, and then I've been around them, but to deal with that on a daily basis, I've never had to do that, and I hope I never have to.
yeah.
But I know the impact that it had on those folks, and if this drug was around during that time, I know that they would have happily given given it to
buys
the
you more
loved one.
time, man.
Yeah.
So and that's all any of us really want, right?
Exactly.
Like it's time, dude. Like yo, listen, the FDA was on fire this week, man.
Yeah,
That's
man.
not
So
the only thing they did.
That's right. So the other one that they did was they approved an over-the-counter daily oral contraceptive. So like the birth control pill.
Can we get Plan B back though? What's
Plan
up?
B's still there.
Oh, I thought Plan B was getting outlawed under this whole abortion shit too.
I
no?
don't think so.
Am I wrong? Okay,
No,
I might be
I
wrong.
think you're
It's
wrong on
just
that. So
certain states. Okay.
yeah, no, Plan B. That you know what? Now that you say that, there was something where people were like buying up Plan B to kind of like sell them on the
think
aftermarket.
They were. I think maybe the fear is that if you get rid of abortion, the Plan B
That's
drug
the
is
next
essentially it's the next thing.
Right. So the FDA approved this over-the-counter thing. The pill is called Opill, Opill. And it actually contains this drug. It's called Norgestrel, and it's been approved since the 70s, but only as a prescription. while this is different, is that this shit is going to be over the counter, available in grocery stores, convenience stores, drug stores, online. No need to talk to a doctor.
So what makes it over the counter? Like, what's the differentiator now that allows you to make it over the counter?
That's a great question. I don't know.
So they
don't know
just
the answer
happen
to
to
that.
say we can go ahead and use. I guess they're not worried about it being a controlled substance anymore. Like
There is sort of the only warning that I saw on it was that if you have had any type of cancer or are even susceptible, maybe have a history, you should probably not take this.
Gotcha.
However, but other than that, they thought it was they thought it was okay to make this over counter drug. The reason why I gave this, obviously, this is kind of goes along with the Alzheimer's drug too, but this one, the FDA's committee's decision was influenced by the overturn of Roe versus Wade.
Oh, which I think we use here as a carbon footprint at some point in time.
Exactly, and that's why I'm going like, okay, so here are, the overturn of Roe versus Wade was impactful on its own.
Absolutely.
But here is one of the after effects, right? So now the FDA goes, hey, like we can't do that shit anymore. We need to give people
another option, or something else
easier.
It helps the arguments for the, wherever you sit on the fence of Roe v. Wade, it helps the argument of like, well, we'll give you another preventative, or
correct,
in there. So yeah, dude, and like you said, without that, you probably don't get this fast track, or you probably don't get it over the counter. Like you said, it probably
not over the counter, right?
It would have been available as a prescription, but you don't get it over the counter because how many people don't? Because you to get a prescription, you need to see a doctor. Get a doctor.
And you don't want to pay that.
Need to get health care because you don't want to pay that.
Yep.
Some people don't have health care. You get, like there's just so many layers to this. So making it over the counter seems like such a simple concept. I think for a lot of people, especially if you've worked and you've always had health care benefits and you do all that stuff, then this stuff is foreign to you. But a vast majority of the country, it still does not have healthcare. Still does, doesn't have access to this type of medicine. Like, there's apps or there's doctors now I could call and be like, hey, give me a prescription for, so and so, and whatever. I get charged a copay and sort of go about my way, and it's inexpensive because I have the healthcare. But if I don't, just.
But dude, yeah, and that copay for some people could be, the difference of making your rent that month.
Yeah,
you know
dude, I
what
looked at the copay versus like, I don't know, let's say a regular doctor's visit might be $200 or $300. If you're somebody who makes $10 an hour, you're talking about you work that whole week essentially after taxes to pay for a visit for your physician. Like, it's not attainable for the like lower income or if you're working, again, like at minimum wage. Like it's just something that it's crippling to, it's like with people who like you get a flat on your car, you need to replace that tire and it costs you a few $100, and there's some people who are just like, oh, that's fine. But
I'll leave the spare.
Yes. And then there's some people who are like, right, you said you leave a spare because it's crippling to them financially. Like it's just man, that's big, man.
And this is the first time that a non-prescription daily oral contraceptive has been available in the U.S. So
I can't think of anything other than condoms, right? That we have as over-the-counter sort of like.
I mean, Plan B was kind of like the other
Plan
thing,
B was,
right? But that's not for.
But it's after the fact. It's kind of too late.
Right.
Plan
Maybe like, oops.
Plan B. Oops. It's literally Plan B. Like, fingers crossed, motherfucker. Take 2 just in case. You didn't look like that last night. I'm sober now. Take 2.
But no, man, I'm just going. When I saw this, I'm like, wow, man. Like, what are the other things that are going to happen because of the overturn of Roe versus Wade? So, in one respect, you have the outrage of don't tell women what to do with their bodies, right? Like, but then you have these other things that's going like, okay, well, if they're going to do that, here's how we're going to combat
Here's the
that.
response. Yeah, man. Who knows?
And from a federal level.
Right. And you figure more things are going to come, right? There's going to be, I think there's already some changes to like birth control, even prescription birth control. Like I think for some it's free if you have insurance or whatever, like there's already some changes, I think, as far as that goes that have been around. But you figure there's going to be more of that sort of thing to sort of combat this. And then maybe there's, like to your point of, okay, maybe if you're forced now to have a child and maybe if that child has some disabilities, maybe there's some legislature that's passed that helps cover costs or covers all of it, or like
Right.
again, it's not good or bad, the Roe v. Wade thing. It's here's the other things that sort of get like I guess that are born from that.
Yep.
From that decision. Dude, the FDA, man, now that we're talking about it and they're doing a lot of things this week, there's another thing I that came up this week was aspartame. I think I'm saying that right. It's an ingredient that's in like diet sodas.
Okay.
So like Diet Coke, Coke Zero, a lot of those aspartame. I went to public school.
And you know what? I know what you're saying, and I think you're saying it wrong, but I can't think of what the fuck the right
I'm
way
trying
to
to
say
think
it.
because I feel like I've hear people pronounce it aspartame, but there's no
That's
N
probably
in
right,
there.
but that's-
anyway. It's sort of the WHO has labeled it as a carcinogen, and which essentially means
Isn't fucking Coke and Pepsi carcinogens anyway?
I would think so, but like I guess it's essentially like people are foregoing becoming fat to getting cancer. Is like what you're saying. Like carcinogens, like
right,
basically
right.
cancer causing substance. So it's like so now what they're saying is that essentially there's going to end up being a label on anything that contains that, almost like cigarettes, because that's what a carcinogen is in cigarettes and all that stuff, saying like, hey, this is going to cause cancer. Like it's that bad, and this is what the WHO is saying, but the FDA is sort of disputing that, which we can get into a whole conversation behind that because it's the FDA and corporations like Coke and all that stuff who are disputing it, obviously. But the FDA, but now you can get into this whole rabbit hole as if the WHO or the FDA science correct, or do you go with the lobbyists, or do you go, like that sort of thing. But it's just another one of these things that's going to have an impact, I think, on food, on production of food, on ingredients, on that sort of thing. Like, because you can't slap a label, like if you end up slapping a label on a soda that a cigarette carton has, like people are probably going to stop buying that soda, even though it's probably just as bad to drink the regular soda.
Yep.
But because now you slap a label on it with fucking skull and crossbones and says it's a carcinogen or whatever, like so I'm curious to watch this play out too. And I know the FDA was heavily involved in this week too, man.
Dude,
so they've been on it, man. Like,
there's so much shit, man.
good and bad. Like they've been all over the
yeah.
like or not good nor bad, just like busy. like
no. And again, I think the fact that I wasn't giving the FDA the carbon footprint because everything they do is good. I think it's all dependent on how you view things, right? Because birth control to somebody might be like, that's the devil's work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
like, that's not like it's however you guys want to take it.
Listen, it's in the spirit of the thing.
It's good, bad, or otherwise.
Good, bad, or
people.
otherwise. Just saying, it's in the spirit of the carbon footprint. It's like, it isn't always necessarily something good. It's just something that we feel like is going to leave a mark
It's an
in
impact.
some way. Yep.
Dude, Operation Warp Speed. Operation Warp Speed, man. That's what it was. I know somebody out there was listening to this and going like, it's Operation Warp Speed, you idiots.
I can just picture him with his little finger thing on the microphone. He's like, we have the fastest scientists. So fast. Okay, China's gonna wish. And he does the little fucking thing with the hands. I miss him, man. Damn it. He's so funny.
He might be back soon.
Listen,
Man. You never know, man.
I just want the entertainment again, man. I'm bored. I want a president that doesn't get taken out by a set of stairs. That's all. Like if you wanted if somebody wanted to pull off an assassination on our current president, you would just throw more staircases in his way than usual. Like you don't even have to plan hard.
Just shift the ground.
Yeah, just shift the ground. Just start adding extra steps, uneven grounding everywhere he goes. You can get ahead of that shit. Secret Service won't catch that. Like add an extra step in there.
Dude, man, speaking of like innovations and stuff, man, you seen this flying car shit?
Yo, this shit's cool, man. I'm like shocked. So the FAA approved it.
Which is I was like, no way.
I didn't think anybody was ever gonna get that shit for a flying car. That's a big deal. It's gotten like flight worthiness certification from the FAA,
right?
And it's an A-left Model A. I think we were saying,
yeah, Model A, yep.
And this is gonna sound crazy, but the price point isn't out of reach. It's like $300,000, which. Yes, a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
For most folks, it is. But there's a lot of y'all out there that ain't making a lot of money that's driving around $80,000 fucking Jeep Cherokees.
Dude.
Or what's the fuck is it? Is it Wagoneer? Is there
the Wagoneer's $100,000?
I was gonna say it's like I think it starts at 80.
You know what I see a lot of? now? A lot.
What's
and
that?
I'm like, they must be having a deal. It's the damn Lamborghini truck. And I'm like, I see so many of these Lamborghini
Really?
SUVs. Dude, that's a $200,000 to $250,000 SUV. I see them all the time. I go, okay, that's like, okay, either people are making significantly more money than I'm giving them credit for, or there's some kind of lease deal going on or whatever.
Yeah.
But the average car payment now is like, what we talk about, like $700-800 a month. So people aren't shy about spending money on their cars. So $300,000, yes, a lot of money, but not out of reach. For
Just not crazy.
no, I was expecting this to be like, oh, it's gonna be $2 million, so it's gonna be like 5 people who have it, in each city. But this is not like $300,000, dude. Is like, you don't realize how many cars cost that. Like, it's funny, man. I'll see BMWs. Like, you ever see like a BMW, like an M8 competition where you go, oh, dude, those cars are almost $200K.
Yeah.
Like the MSRP is $150. Nobody says it for MSRP. So you go, and I see a lot of those going around. You just go $300,000. Someone's gonna end up making that $3,000 a month lease payment or whatever on that shit,
Yeah.
or whatever it is for a flying car. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. And so some of the specs on this thing, man. So first of all, they said 300K. They're expecting delivery by the end of 2025. That's like tomorrow.
That's not that far away.
No,
man.
bro. That's a year from now. We're going, oh, it's getting delivered in 6
I
months.
can't wait for the road rage where I can fly over you and flick you off from above.
Dude, that's the other thing, man. So this thing is, I think it does. It's electric.
Yes, all
Right?
electric.
It's all
Yeah.
electric.
Yeah. And it takes off vertically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it also drives people. So it is a car. It drives. It'll go 200 miles driving, and it go 110 miles flying.
Flying on the one charge.
On the one charge. They're talking by the end of 2035, or by 2035, they'll have this thing flying 300 miles. So that's what, like here to Miami,
No,
approximately.
200.
Right?
The 200 will get you to Miami. I think here to Miami is about 200 miles.
Okay.
For Orlando to Miami is about 180 to 200 miles.
Okay.
Depending on where Miami. Yeah. So you figure 300 is like almost Key West, maybe a little bit shorter than that. Maybe end of
Yeah.
Florida.
Or if you go north, that probably gets you into the Carolinas.
The Carolinas. No, it absolutely does. Right. It'll get you to the end of Georgia. The Carolinas easy from here. So 300 miles, because I think from here to Miami, I'm almost positive it's like 180 to 200.
Now,
So
dude, you cannot fly on a regular road.
I would,
So here's why. That's
but
why
how
I'm
do you
trying
stop?
to-
So I'm guessing.
how do you stop them?
Right, because how do you stop them? Because if the FAA approved it, then that still means does the DOT of every state need to approve this? Or is you okay on a federal level? Because if it can take off vertically, that means I could be driving down on my local road. There's traffic. I can boost up and then go right past
go
the
over.
traffic and then go land wherever. Or you figure
Yeah,
people
you
are going to start
land
making
wherever?
designated landing and taking
Like, yes,
off zones,
bro.
right?
They have to.
Yeah,
You
there
have
has to
to,
be.
bro.
Because you can see motherfuckers running into buildings. Dude, yo, can you imagine you just sitting in your house and then some fucking car just runs right, like flies
Yeah.
or an apartment and it flies into you?
Or your fucking charge runs out and then you land in traffic.
Bro, you would think there's got to be some kind of safety thing to go. You're running out and it automatically goes and lands itself before you run out. You would hope
Yeah.
so,
You
right?
remember Amazon, which they are still doing
The
it, I believe, the
drones?
drones.
Oh,
where,
yeah.
where they have like the landing pads
Yeah.
for them. It has to be something like that.
Because you got to put them in your yard or something, right? If you
Yeah.
want have you been able to do that?
No,
In your yard?
is it even
Okay.
available here?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think you're right.
No,
but
man,
I've
my,
seen, dude,
my,
Michael
my guy,
Jordan
my
uses that
guys
shit.
come right up to the door, man. It's
And then
great.
they run up. Yeah. We're still using. You're still using
Still using humans.
like a peasant. Have you seen fucking Michael Jordan's golf course?
No.
Dude, the golf course has, I think it's like an app or something in the golf cart. Anyway, either way, you're able to order like your drinks. So if you play golf, like obviously huge golf courses and all that stuff, there's usually a cart girl, and I'm gonna say cart girl because I've never seen a guy do it. But there's usually a cart girl in a golf cart, and it's got like refrigeration, and she's selling beverages and food out of this golf cart. And so
this
if
is
you're on a
on
golf course,
his golf course?
on his golf
Where?
course, he has a drones that you go on an app, you
Yeah.
order what you want, and then the drones come find you at whatever hole you're on, and then they drop your order like to you from the drone.
fuck outta
It's
here,
fucking awesome. It's down south, like Jupiter, Florida here.
Oh, okay.
Like yeah. The golf course, I forget what it's called, but I know there's like an there's like a 23 aspect to it, obviously, but it's but it's his designed golf course, and of course it's like state of the art, high end luxury.
Good for
whatever.
that guy, bro.
Yeah, it's awesome. But I always see the videos of the drones dropping off people's like hot dogs and shit, and I'm like, how awesome is that? It's so cool, bro.
And is it his golf course like on his property?
No, it's a public golf course, like you,
So
maybe
you
it's a
pay.
members only,
Yeah,
but
you
you
pay
pay
to
to be
get
on
on
it.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But of course, everybody who's a member, it's like you have to be loaded. It's a private / like you have to pay whatever
A substantial
country
fee
club.
or
Yo,
whatever.
I'm sure. Yeah, you can't be. Because Michael Jordan's not creating a golf course country club so that he can be golfing with people like me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's
Right,
not
right.
like.
No, you're
yes.
right.
So I'm sure it's a high end private club that you have to pay. You know, I don't know if you've ever looked at what those memberships cost, man. Like,
No, I'm not a golfer, right? So I don't really care.
yeah, I
But
have.
dude,
It's demoralizing.
More and more as I look around, man, I see folks like making like astounding amounts of money.
Hmm?
I'm like, money's not real, bro.
It's fake, bro.
Like,
You ever talk to Robert Kiyosaki? It's debt.
yeah,
You're doing it all wrong.
Yeah, you're
Live
doing
off
it
of
wrong.
debt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, the flying car shit is like, I can't wait to be driving and just seeing people taking off, and like I'm just like so fascinated by this whole Jetsons. Like, it's just all I can think about. It's like
You know
because
what,
I know
man?
it's gonna happen in our lifetime. I just
Yeah.
can't wait, man.
I was just thinking, so things like Waze, right? So like Waze knows when there's traffic, right? So then you plan out your drive. If you go like, I'm gonna drive or I'm gonna fly, whatever, then you just go to your launch pad, whatever that is, and you go like, there's really a lot of traffic, so I'm gonna fly from here, from point A to point B.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have a landing pad. I'm gonna land there, and I'm gonna drive off to the rest of home.
Dude, or not? Do you start having people just have traffic violations left and right? 'Cause they're like, I'll just land in a parking lot. That's this fucking thing.
No, I think that they make the car so that you can't do that.
Like you program it and it almost goes on its own. Like,
Right.
dude, are you letting people control this flying car?
Abso-fucking-lutely
You don't think
not,
so,
bro? No way, bro.
Yo, honestly, if you think about the idea of driving day to day, right? Like we stick people behind a 3,000 to 4,000 pound weapon, and we trust. Like
And
we
they go
trust the people
90
every
miles
day.
an hour.
Yeah, that they're not gonna fuck up. Like every day, bro. We all get in cars and we go, oh, this guy's in a projectile going 90 miles an hour, and I'm trusting that he's not just gonna run into me. Every day, we all do that shit and we don't think twice about it.
You're right, bro.
It's crazy, bro. Like if you think about that shit for real, like, and you went, yo, man, would you trust thousands of strangers around you driving 90 miles an hour in a projectile and hoping they don't make a slight left by about a foot? And so you, like, we do that
Yeah,
shit.
you're
like
right,
the amount
bro.
of trust we have in humanity without even thinking about it, it's kind of wild. Like as much as we go like, I don't trust people, I go, nah, bro, we trust people a fucking lot.
Yeah. Dude, when Tesla came out and they had like the sort of the self-driving vehicle, I was thinking like, oh yeah, like in 100 years or less, no one's driving.
No, bro. Dude, I told you, I think we might have talked about this on here before. When I had my Tesla, like the hardest thing when I went away from it was not relying on the car. I got so used to relying on the car to do the work for me that I was almost I was a danger, bro. To be perfectly honest, I was a shitty driver for the first few
Afterwards,
months.
right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
bro. Or
yeah.
anytime I stepped into a car that wasn't a Tesla, because I was so used to the car saving you from yourself, where I could be reckless because the car was not gonna let me fuck up. Like I hate when you see
nuts,
these.
dude. And how long did you have that car? You only had it for a few months.
Oh my god,
was
bro!
6 months, maybe?
Maybe 6 to 8 months,
Okay.
maybe. Yeah. I didn't have it very long, bro, and it was enough time for me to become a shitty driver, and it took me months to sort of undo the habits. Like
Really?
yeah, man. Because, bro, again, you just become so reliant on these little things, like. You know, like a lot of people go like, oh, I can open up my phone and text and all. And I certainly did that because the car will save you from yourself. But you had the privilege of being so reckless when you change lanes, when you turn, you know, like the car would literally drive itself. Or if you were driving it and you were going to fuck up, it wouldn't let you. Like if you like,
Wow, bro.
like if I went to go into a lane and there was a car there, the car would just pull me back. And I know a lot of cars do that. But the technology in the Tesla was
Yeah, but
fucking
mine
different, bro.
like mine has like I think the newest car in my the vehicles at my house it's a 2019 and it has like the lane assist. So it kind of saves you from crossing
right.
over lanes. It kind of but it sort of gently fights you.
Nah, the Tesla forces you.
Really?
Bro, the Tesla, when I was at a red light if I didn't move when the light turned green, it would vibrate my seat to alert me that I hadn't moved. But if I was looking up, it wouldn't do it. It knew when I was looking at the road. This is how fucking nuts it was, bro. Like, it was like, if I was looking up, it never said anything. It knew that I was looking and I was paying attention.
Yeah.
Fine.
But if you were looking down.
But if I was looking down, immediately, it would vibrate my seat. Like, hey, wake up. And it would start moving on its own because the light was green. As long as there was nothing in the way. Bro, it was so easy that I would literally just leave it in autopilot and just do shit. Like, it was... I
would have never got rid of that car,
bro. It was. I mean, again, it was hard to get away from. Like, for me, I'm like such a car person that I really wanted like the experience of driving a car and feeling it and all that. But as a piece of technology, and I go again, and as much as people are like, I don't trust cars to do this shit, I'm like, I trusted the car way more than I trusted me after a while. Because, dude, I hate when you see these headlines of like, oh, Tesla crashes into blah, 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 right? And you always see these headlines all the time. You know, maybe once a week, once a month, you see a headline and it's like, oh, the autopilot failed. And maybe it did. That's very possible. But what it doesn't tell you is that 1,000,000 times that day, it worked just fine. And humans are way worse than that one headline that the Tesla made that day. Like, there's probably thousands of car accidents.
Go look at the car accident. As a matter of fact, let's look at car
fatalities per day.
Per day, right?
Per day. Just look at fatalities per day with cars, and like I 100% would trust the Tesla over human beings. Like, if I was surrounded, matter of fact, I'll tell you this now, knowing what it was like to drive a Tesla, if I'm on the road and there's a Tesla, you ever have a car drive by you and you're a little skittish because you're like, oh, that motherfucker doesn't look like he's paying attention. He might drift into my lane. If it's a Tesla, bro, I'd never worry. I'm like, it'll be fine. It's gonna move out of my way. Like, every time. Like, I'm never concerned about them because I know no matter who's driving that car, the car is smarter than them. Like,
that's nuts, bro.
It's nuts, bro.
So check this out. 19,937 crashes every day.
Every day.
Every day.
And the one Tesla that crashes because the autopilot failed makes the headline.
118 deaths caused by auto accidents every day.
Every day.
831 motor vehicle accidents each hour.
Dude, that's
people, bro.
Insane. And so whenever,
but nobody looks at that shit.
No one.
But it's never a headline. No. And no one looks at those numbers and goes, "Oh man, it's pretty dangerous." We all get in our cars and we all fucking drive the next day.
Dude, when I got the Tesla, it's so funny, man. When people like knew that I drove the Tesla, it was like 50-50. I either got the, oh, that's cool, what's that like? Or I got the, man, I don't trust those things. I watch the news and those things crash all the time. And I wanted to be like, bro, read that headline. Yeah. Like, yeah, the one Tesla crashed that day, then you happen to see the news that it ran into the back of a truck or whatever because the software failed. 19,000 human motherfuckers did the same thing today. Like, it's like people don't think about that.
And no one
says anything.
Yeah, no one goes, oh man, I shouldn't be driving.
Dude, they're going to be way better than us. Those software, it's not perfect, but that software, that's why I go with these flying cars, that software is going to be better than us. Give it a decade and you're going to go, you're not going to want to drive because you're going to go, like.
But I absolutely 100% think that it's not going to be somebody piloting.
It can't be. We don't even do airplanes that way, right?
It's going to be an autopilot. No. The pilots actually fly the planes.
No, but commercial airlines.
There is autopilot.
Yeah. But commercial airlines, for the most part, there's like that fly-by-wire shit where they're mostly programmed in. Yeah. And they don't control it at all until they're like on the ground. Like a lot of these commercial.
Really, from like takeoff to landing too.
Dude, a lot of these planes, you literally put where you're going. And I know pilots that will take over for like kicks and giggles. Yeah. But the plane will take off and land all on its own without the pilot having to sort of like interfere.
Gotcha.
Like it's the layman's terms for it is fly by wire, but essentially, like if you're flying one of these small Cessnas or whatever, that's all you. Yep. But a commercial airline, no, dude, that shit's flying itself. Like it knows where it's going, it's landing.
Yeah, I thought the autopilot thing was like strictly when you were in the air, but I thought that like the takeoff and the landing, like you needed the human intervention. But I could be wrong.
I think some pilots do it because I've heard them say like, "Oh, you get bored, I want to do it," or even in the air, they'll go like, "I'll take over," but you almost have to. But I think because of like regulations and
boring,
people watching
bro,
you,
in the air.
It has to be, bro. You're just sitting there like,
dude. I'm telling you, when I was in, I don't want to get nobody in trouble, man, but I won't mention no names. When I was in the Marine Corps. We flew from whatever point A to point B, and the pilot like called to the back and was like, "Yo, anybody want stick time?" And it's like fucking stick time. Like,
And you got so you get to go in there.
I
like,
get to
fly
go in there and fly. So I get up there. They put me in the pilot seat, whatever. Like, and the guy just kind of looks at it. There's a gauge with like a horizon on it, and the guy goes, just keep it within this range. And I kind of fuck with it a little bit up, a little bit down. But I was trying to fly right.
Well, there's also the fear of like, I don't want to fuck this up.
Well, no, I wasn't necessarily scared. Obviously, when you first get into the seat, yes, you are thinking that.
Yeah.
But dude, it's so boring.
Yeah. Oh, there goes another cloud.
No, I think we were just above all the fucking clouds.
So it's nothing.
It's
right?
nothing.
Yeah, air traffic control. It's not like you have to like yield to other planes.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not.
like,
There ain't no red lights.
yeah.
Ain't nobody's flying next to me. I'm not making no evasive maneuvers or anything like that, man. So it was pretty boring, and I was like, oh yeah. Matter of fact, I think I did it for maybe like 10 minutes, and I was like, all right, man. Like, who's next?
Yeah, like I'll pass. Dude, I think the thing with planes, it's like it's the engineering marvel that sort of takes over, where you're just like, this is fucking wild that we made this, that does this.
Yeah.
But and then once that wears off, like you said, it isn't a fun experience just like that. Like unless you can be moving, like a fighter jet, it's probably fun as fuck, or like a little, or like even the little airplanes. Like I've been on those little Cessnas through like a mutual friend of ours, and
Right.
who took me on a flight, and I'm like, okay, that's got to be cool because you can move it around, and there is like an exhilarating feeling because you're like, yo, this shit's really fragile. But
And you're not flying, however many thousand feet in the air, right?
Dude, you're at level with like skyscrapers. So you're like, if you fuck up, you're hitting something, right? Like, but
if you fuck up, it's like 9/11 all over again.
yeah, and you're like, that shit wasn't on purpose. Like, I swear. But dude, I wonder what, to your point, like, yeah, did you do this strictly on the contingency that it flies on a computer generated like path or route and controls, or are you letting people just do this? Like,
No, bro. Absolutely not.
it's gonna be kind of fun though.
Yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be fun to see, bro. Let me tell you about this dude that was driving that was fucking up.
Oh man,
So this guy was driving
regular car, not a flying car.
regular car, man, regular car.
Peasant.
So this dude, he's getting pulled over. I don't know if he was swaying or whatever, man. He's getting pulled over. This is in Colorado. The guy had been drinking. So when he pulls over, the cop rolls up, you know who's in the driver's seat? His dog.
Rover switch. Oh, and where was the guy? Passenger
In the
or
passenger.
in the back?
No, in the passenger seat. So then when the cop was like, obviously like, no fucking way, bro. He gets out and he fucking takes off on foot.
Like, nah, that was road bud. Look over there. And he takes off. Oh, shit, bro. No way. Yo, you're drunk as fuck. If you think
put your
switching with the
dog-
dog is a good
He was
idea, he'll never believe this. Like, that's why I was zagging. He don't got opposable thumbs. Like, you know how it is to steer with paws? That's insane. And then he took off running.
And he took off running. Needless to say,
I want to see that video. I was going to say, a drunk guy running. Like, I want to see that video. Oh, that's so
I saw a
good,
video
bro.
recently, man, on social media where it was in Florida actually, and there's like 6 cops with this guy, and they're walking him, and he fucking takes off, and they can't catch him. And it's like one of the things that's like only in Florida, bro.
Yo, I love this state, bro. It's on the wild. It's on the wild. It's never boring here. That's for damn sure, bro.
Yeah, how are you on time, bro?
Dude, we're at 53 minutes, man. So we got a couple minutes. I wanted to bring up. Did you hear about this shit about how we're supposed to address vaginas from here on out? You not hear this story, bro?
Ball and chain. That's a whole wife.
Bro, yeah, that's all the extremities included. This is strictly the vagina. Or as these healthcare professionals would have you, they want you to refer to it as the bonus hole so that you avoid offending a trans patient. So
Whoa.
bonus hole. Dude, I was so confused because I thought the bonus hole was like the one you got on birthdays, maybe an anniversary. I didn't really.
Baby, can we try a bonus hole this time?
So bonus hole, I'm like, wait a minute.
You gotta relax.
Why are you so tense?
This is never gonna work if you're so tense.
You gotta relax.
We can try it in the shower.
Oh fuck, bro. Oh my god, I'm crying. Dude, but
But why a bonus hole?
because they were saying that if you are trans, then referring to like a vagina, you're gonna offend someone who's trans who doesn't naturally have a vagina. So saying bonus hole is less offensive.
So is the
And this is from healthcare professionals who were like a part of this study. I think it's like a cancer researcher study who was like saying that this is what we should do from here on out to avoid offending trans.
So is the anus the main one?
Yeah, I guess that's
like
the
that. Maybe we
the
all
one-
have
we
that.
all have that.
We all have that.
Dude, someone without an anus with some disease somewhere is gonna come like, I'm offended by that one.
I was born with my ass.
Yeah, I got my
sewed
belly
up.
button. The bonus hole was the vagina. I guess you're not wrong. So then once you're, dude, what the fuck is,
Dude, what are we going? Dude, and I told you this before, man. And all of a sudden, I said it on here, and I can't remember. I gotta look this shit up. There's a guy that does he's like a history fucking buff, and he studies he studies history, but he found that in ancient civilizations, just before their collapse,
Yeah.
they have this issue with gender.
They have an obsession, right? They have a.
There's
dude,
that becomes like
Dude,
the
it
thing.
happened to the Roman Empire.
Roman
it
Empire,
happened to the
yes.
Ottoman Empire.
Yes,
Dude,
yes,
it's so
yes.
true because if you look in
What
history,
is that fucking guy's
they
name,
became
man?
obsessed, like you said, with
Douglas
gender.
Murray.
Okay. Yeah, it's
And
fascinating to see.
This is a book. It's called "The Madness of Crowds: Gender, Race, and Identity."
Dude, is this a product of like the shit we talk about here all the time, where like life is so comfortable, right? And undoubtedly, the Roman Empire reached a state of comfort, and
Yep.
they were kind of ruling the world. They, no one could fuck with them. They had these like millennia of just dominance. That the boredom seeps in, and you just start fucking around with other
things, man,
that
like-
aren't really an issue, but they are an issue because you don't have any other issues. You know what I mean? Like it's
Correct.
It's like
We are definitely in that place now,
Oh my
man,
God,
where
dude.
you go, you can get, fucking ancient humans, right? Where you go like, you gotta find food and fend off fucking lions, and right, like those times are over, and now it's you go downstairs and you walk to the grocery store.
Yeah.
And it's like worst case scenario, you don't have much money and you're homeless. But let me tell you, even in this city, there are so many homeless people,
oh my god.
but they're all surviving. I'm not saying they have good lives,
yeah, no one's
but they're
dying
yes,
of hunger
There-
on the
yeah,
side.
there's
Yeah.
not people just dying in the
Not
streets.
like you see in like some third world countries where there's
Right.
literally people dying on the streets.
Yeah.
It's like here they're like, yeah, it's uncomfortable.
It
and there's
sucks. Yeah, it sucks.
But you're not seeing piles of bodies like starving to death on the side
Correct.
of the road. Like, yeah, it's like,
Yeah, like our homeless population are not skinny.
bro. There's a homeless lady I see all the time who is ass naked every time I see her for whatever reason. Bro, I'm telling you, ass naked. I wish I was making that up. The only reason I'm not sure if she's wearing bottoms, but I can't tell because she's so big that her stomach and everything else sort of overlaps everything.
Yeah.
You can't tell. She's humongous. And every time I see her, I'm like, who's feeding you? Like, how are you homeless? She's a regular. I'm like,
Dude,
I
she
don't
can-
understand.
She can stop eating for like 2 months
Bro,
and be good.
I'm not over exaggerating when I tell you this lady has to weigh over 300 pounds, maybe close to 4. I'm talking that big, bro. Not like slightly pudgy. I'm talking big, bro. Like big. Like I can't tell whether or not she's wearing underwear big. I know she's not wearing a bra because the titties are out. Even though they're by her ankles, they're out there. I can see the nipples. but she's so big, and every time I see her, I'm like, who is feeding you, and how are you homeless? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. You look pretty well fed to me. Like, it's just wild, man.
Yeah, no, dude, and so I think that's the place that we're in, and hopefully this doesn't signify the collapse of our society, but if you follow history,
it's inevitable,
that's
and
kind of where we're going. Yeah.
I think listen, and and I'm part of this crowd. Is like we're every empire thought like, no way, we're too good, too advanced, to whatever to collapse, right? And I think I'm almost like egotistical enough to feel that way about ours, but I feel like they all did, and that's exactly why they end up sort of collapsing.
Right.
And you go like, no one escapes that fate. Right, like history is the greatest teacher.
It's doomed to repeat itself, man.
Yeah, dude, it's so true, man. And I feel like because like people like me who think that, who like, oh, it's never gonna happen, bro. Like, look how we have it. Like, that's why it happens. It's like, because we're comfortable and we're complacent and we're, like, I'm a product of good times. It's like that the old, like, Joe Rogan talks about this shit all the time, where like hard men create easy times. Easy times create soft men create hard times. It's like a never-ending cycle or whatever.
Yes.
It's like we're definitely in the soft times right now.
Yes.
Soft men, soft times sort of era.
Yep.
And then which
right. So we're gonna create hard times.
Right. We're gonna end up creating hard times, man. So yeah.
And I even see like and it kind of sucks to see. Like our children, like because they're growing up in this society, like I'm even watching like nieces and nephews, kind of growing up in this society where like you gotta be the prettiest, or you gotta be, you know what I mean, like that whole social media thing, and everybody's looking at me, and I gotta be this thing for everybody else, and it's like, fuck, man, like I get it. Like, I understand why you're growing up that way, but it's just like the next step in the creating hard times.
And it's that balance of survival, right? Like social survival and like physical survival and all that. Because you go, you want to raise these like men, essentially, like in your case, you have to raise these men that can survive, but you want to raise these men that can survive in these times. And so do you teach them sort of your way or the hard times or whatever? Do you teach them like, man, you're going to have it made easy for these times, so do what you're doing because this is going to serve you, because you also don't want the opposite, right? Like, you don't want them to not be able to sort of like assimilate to this environment that they're already in, and navigate that, because there is a downside to not being able to sort of fit in. But then you go, or are you preparing them for the inevitable, which is maybe it's their generation, maybe it's the next one? Like, that's a tough one, man, where you just go, what am I prepping them for? Like, you just go, I can only teach them what I know.
Right.
And then sort of try to navigate
which is what we know
one.
may be outdated.
It most certainly is in some cases, right? But you just go, do I give them a little bit of that and then try to be understanding of this new thing and then give them a mixture of both? Because if you worry too much about what's next, like, you're going to drive yourself crazy, because we don't really know what that next thing is going to be. So it's like, okay, is the right thing the balance of here's how I sort of grew up, or here are my values, and then here's what you need to survive in your sort of world, right? Because of the changes, man. That's a tough one, man. Like, I don't.
Yeah, let me tell you, in my household, and my wife and I, we kind of go back and forth, but it's not anything crazy. But for instance, right now, and if you're in Florida, it feels like somewhere between 108 to 115 degrees, and it's humid outside every day. That's what it feels like.
It's bonkers.
It's in the 90s. The actual temperature is in the 90s, but the real feel is somewhere between like 108 to 115.
Right, because
on
of
a daily basis.
The humidity or whatever.
Yeah. So I have my teenage sons cut my grass once a week, and I have an acre. So it's a lot of grass. However, between two of them, they're not out there more than maybe a little over an hour. And I have one that sort of complains more than the other one. And my wife, just sort of as sort of the nurturing figure, right, in the household, is like, it's really hot outside. They shouldn't have to do it at that time or whatever. But then me, I'm always going, yo, like you have to let them suffer a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Just as men. That
Yeah.
you have to be able to kind of push through. Like, hey, you know what? You could get up early and do that shit early.
Yeah.
You know, but you chose to stay up late yesterday, and now you're getting up at fucking noon. And guess what? You got responsibility. So I don't really give a shit if it's 115 outside. You go do it.
It's life, bro.
Yeah, it's life.
It's life. You should absolutely.
So she and I kind of like not really battle. Like I think she understands, but I think the nurturing side of her also goes like I want to protect. But I'm always going, no, like you have to let them like suffer a little bit.
No, because you have to turn them into protectors.
Right.
Like I think as a parent, I can totally understand that concept of wanting to be protectful
Yep.
of your children. But when you're raising little boys, right, and who will grow up to be men, they need to be protectors, right? They're like, listen,
Protectors, providers,
right?
Like,
I know
yeah.
this whole gender shit or whatever people want to get on now. At the end of the day, bro, men are going to be the ones fighting wars. Men are going to be the ones doing the like physical,
Yeah.
really crazy,
Dude, building fucking roads,
building
buildings,
skyscrapers,
yeah, dude.
Police officers, right? Like more of them than
Absolutely.
female, right? That's just the facts, right? Like, so not to say that females can't do that. It's just mostly men are going to do that. And so there is a sort of difference there. Like, in that, bro, I struggle with this with a daughter, right? Because like I have a son who like you want to raise to sort of have that, but then on the flip side, I have a daughter who I want her to be able to sort of take care of herself and look
Yep.
at that. And the way I've sort of reconciled it with myself is like I want you to know how to take care of yourself and do all these things. I don't want you to have to.
Right.
Right. And I think as I look to the future of who she picks as a partner or whatever, like I don't, know what path my daughter takes. Right. But I go, the barometer for me is going to be like, my daughter can take care of herself, but will she have to, like the man or woman or whatever she decides to do who she picks, right? If it's a man, you go, can you protect her? Can you provide? Can you take care of her? She's capable of doing it herself, but I need you to be able to do it for, like, I think,
Yeah,
that's gonna
dude.
be
I
the
think
metrics
that as a dad, and I don't have a daughter, and I'm actually kind of grateful for that in a way, right? Because I think about that when a father gives away, his daughter to another man.
I have a tough ass time with that. by
Yeah,
the way.
man, and you go, fuck, man, like you essentially want to pick somebody that would protect and provide for her the same way you would.
No, absolutely.
And that's
yeah.
very difficult to find.
No, absolutely, bro. Because listen, I'm not a perfect human being, man, by any stretch of the imagination. But I think as like a protector and provider of their family, like I take good, like great pride in going like, nah, like I got you there. Like I whatever I have to do to sort of make that happen and you be comfortable. Like I'm gonna figure that out. And so I think the idea that, like if she got with like a man that didn't think that way, like that would bother me, right? Like I would definitely think lesser. Dude, we don't even have to talk about my daughter. Like I know other guys my age that I see how they interact with their spouses or their girlfriends or just by themselves. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're not the dude. Like if shit hit the fan tomorrow, you're not the guy I want on my side. Like
right.
Because of, how they are. Like I'm like, you couldn't fucking survive on your own, let alone help me, or a tribe or a group or whatever. Like, and so I think, it always goes back to like, if you wiped away all the conveniences that we have today, like the worst thing women did was fight for equality. They had it fucking made.
You guys fucked it up.
You guys fucked it up. You guys had it made. But if you went back to the Stone Ages tomorrow, like
shit, go back 100 years,
dude.
bro.
Yeah, right. You don't even have to go back that far. You're so right, bro. Go back 100 years if we happen to do that, and hopefully, you never have to in the next couple lifetimes.
Yeah, go
but
back.
if you
Go back.
did,
Betty White's lifetime.
yeah, dude, absolutely, man. Like everything would go back to who's a provider, who's a hunter, who's a killer, who's a, like that sort of shit, and then who's a caretaker, like who's provide, like women have their role and the men have their roles, and like I know we try to get away from that shit now, but it's like, no, man, when shit hits the fan, you better believe everyone, including the people screaming like against gender roles, will sort of fall in line, if you will. Like,
dude, and if the society that we know today collapses, it goes back to that.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely, dude. Like, what's the Andrew Schultz has the joke, like women timed the march for equality to when we put AC inside of offices.
You're like, now's the time.
Now is the time. Like when we were fucking fighting saber-toothed tigers and shit to try to get a steak.
You're like, nah, y'all go ahead.
Like, y'all got that. You guys are strong. Look at you go. You're tough, buddy. I'm gonna
Hercules. Hercules.
blowjobs all the way around. Medium rare, you got it.
That's awesome. Yo, and on that, tell them where they can find us.
Yeah, at the Carbon Football Podcast on Instagram, at Carbon or at Carbon Football Podcast on TikTok, Carbon FP Pod on Twitter, the Carbon Football Podcast on Threads, the Carbon Football Podcast on Facebook, all of it, and then all your favorite audio platforms: Amazon Music, Audible, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, GeoSavin, Ghana, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all the big ones, man. Check it out. Yeah, keep interacting, man. Keep leaving reviews. Give us some drink ideas. We appreciate the love and support, man.
Yo, and as always, we appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.